Alright, welcome back. This continues from the previous video. So we have our previous video, we had our first look at the structure. As an example, we defined the student type and have the name, the ID, and a GPA. We saw we created one variable called John of type student type, and then we also had one of Sally, student type. We assigned John some values and we assigned Sally some values, and then we printed out the values for John. In this video, I want to focus on passing a structure as a parameter to a function. So to demonstrate this, let's suppose we had a function. And by the way, remember, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you're typing the code and following along. Let's say we have a void, let's say printf underscore student. So we want to have a function that we can call that will print the contents of a student. So we know the input to this function is going to be a student underscore t, right, student underscore t, and I'll just say this is going to be, well, let's call it student. Okay, so that's the function. So notice we can pass as an input parameter, in this case the parameter is called student, and this could be of student type. Well, that means once we come in here, we could do a printf. Oh, let's say name is %s \n, and it gets passed into us as student, so that we know we can do student dot name. And since student's passed into us, we could do a printf the ID %d and say student dot ID. And we could do the same thing again. We could say printf, so we've got name, ID, how about GPA, %f \n, and student dot GPA. So the key here is you can pass as an input parameter a structure, a type definition that happens to be a structure. So this means if we have this function that we've just defined, then if we come down here, instead of printing it out like we did previously, right, this is how we did it the first time, in fact. So you can remember how we did it the first time. I'll put a comment, say first, I'll say, how about first video? We did it like this. So I'm using the /* to begin the comment and */ to end it. Oops, I'm putting it at the wrong place. You're probably saying, what's he doing? He's putting it at the wrong place. And put it down here. So /* I'll say first video and then */. So we comment that out. But in its place, now what I can do is say printf underscore student. And I can pass in this case, John. All right, because John's a student, so I'll pass in John. That means down here for Sally, I could say, do another printf of student, and this time we're going to have Sally. So what we're showing here is we're literally passing in the structure, and what happens, the contents of that structure get passed into here, and when you run it, notice we've got John Doe, we've also got Sally Smith. Now it's important for you to know that when this gets passed in as, in this case, as the student type, since this passed as an input parameter, even if you tried to change it, for example, if I said student dot GPA equals 100, okay, student dot GPA equals 100. Well, here I've changed it. It does not work. What I mean does not work, when we return from this, these values are input, but nothing is output. That is, this is sent into the function, and if you change it like we're doing here, it still has the same value because it's only an input. It is not output. So what I mean by this, if right after let's say we call this twice, printf student of John. Okay, so we're going to call it 2 times. Well, if this changed it the first time it was called, John would have 95, and the second time John would have 100. Well, when we run this, notice John Doe has 95 the first time, and John Doe has 95 the second time. In other words, when you pass something as an input, you're passing it in, and the function could actually change it like we're doing here. But it has no impact because it's only an input. Nothing you change here gets passed back to the main program, which is what we're showing here. That even though you changed student.gpa, in both cases John Doe, and for that matter, let's do the same thing with Sally Smith. Let's do a printf of student. We'll say of Sally both times. And again, I want to stress that when we run this, the first time we print out John Doe, it's 95.5. Second time we print out John Doe is 95.5. For Sally Smith, the first time 98.5, and the second time 98.5. So this is important to recognize, that when you pass something as an input, and this is not unique to structures, this is anything, so in some ways this is a review. Anything you pass as an input, it's passed in, even if you try to change it. When you return, what gets passed in is basically thrown away, so it doesn't change the original value that came in. Okay, this is another good, probably a good place to stop this video. Make sure your code is looking like the code I have here. Make sure you understand how you can pass in a structure as an input like we're showing here. On the next video, we'll pick up additional skills. I'm Norman McIntyre. Thanks as always for watching.